far as symptoms are concerned, pain, like glaucoma pain, but then glaucoma is often painless, and so it's very important to get your pressure checked every year or so.
You're watching the Spotlight Network, starring Hollywood's newsman, Logan Crawford.
They now believe a single member.
He works with TV and film legends. And now, Logan's shining the spotlight on the world's top emerging authors and creators.
International were abducted.
This is Spotlight with Logan Crawford, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.
I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're joined by Dr. John C. Barber, ophthalmologist and author of 3 wonderful books. Hey Doc, What's Wrong with My Eye? Examination of the Eye Made Easy, and The Joy of Medical Practice, 40 Years of Interesting Patients. In Hey Doc, he breaks down scary eye symptoms such as flashers, double vision, sudden pain, and more, and explains common conditions in plain English, from cataracts and glaucoma to macular degeneration and more. These are powerful must-reads, and this is a conversation you won't want to miss as well. We're delighted to have this very talented author and doctor join us here today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Doctor, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Good evening.
Good to see you. Great to have you on the show. I've got a good story for you. I can be one of your interesting patients. I was troubled with my eye. I was getting some green flashes here and there. I didn't pay much attention to them. Felt like my vision was getting a little bit worse. And one day I'm reading a newscast. Good evening, I'm Logan Crawford. And it was like a curtain dropped over my eye. And I was blind in the one eye. And yes. I rushed to an ophthalmologist like yourself, and I said, I think my retina has detached. And he says, no, you don't think it has detached. And I was rushed into surgery and all of that. Horrible, frightening experience. If I had known about those flashers, if I had your book 12 years ago when this happened, I probably would have sought help sooner. I had some classic telltale signs, I assume, doctor, right?
Yes, flashes and floaters are very common, preceding retinal detachment. The vitreous jelly in the eye shrinks with age, and it pulls loose from the back of the eye, from the retina, and sometimes it pulls a hole in it.
Yeah.
And then when it gets the hole, the fluid in the eye can get through the hole and under the retina, and it becomes detached. But the warning signs usually precede it by a day or so, the flashes and floaters. Sometimes the flashes come when you're tugging, the vitreous is tugging on the retina. And the retina only has one way to respond, and that's light. So you get a flash. Yeah. So flashes and floaters are an emergency situation. If you call a doctor's office and tell them you have flashes and floaters, they usually see you right away. Mm-hmm. That's not a trick to get in to see the doctor, but
right.
It works.
Right. Well, I wish I had, because I did have the flashers and I had floaters, and you often hear floaters are harmless. I guess they can be harmless unless they're a significant amount and you're getting those flashes. And, you know, the surgery wasn't fun. I had a vitrectomy. I had scleral buckling. I had to sit like this for about a month.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And I had the gas bubble in my eye. Folks, read this book. Find out about your problems beforehand, before they get to the point where you're like me. Do not be like me, because now I have a giant cataract in that eye and can't see out of it either. So it's an ongoing issue. What are some of the most common ailments that you review in this book, Doc?
Well, I go through a number of things as far as symptoms are concerned. Pain, like glaucoma pain, but then glaucoma is often painless. And so it's very important to get your pressure checked every year or so, to get the pressure checked, to see if you have glaucoma, because you don't know you have glaucoma until it gets bad. It starts affecting the central vision, then you know it. Early on, only peripheral vision, up high, over to the side, and you don't notice it's not there. especially if it's more pronounced in one eye than the other, because the second eye will fill in for what's absent from the first eye.
Hmm.
So you don't notice a difference in the field unless you go in and have it checked. The ophthalmologist look at visual fields if your pressure's up and see if you actually have glaucoma. He'll look at the optic nerve and see if that's got a cup in it from the pressure pushing on it, and you can find out if you have it.
Hmm.
Um, you know, things that brought people into my office the fastest was a hemorrhage on the white part of the eye.
Hmm.
That usually comes from high blood pressure or coughing and sneezing, vomiting, uh, anything that causes the pressure to go up in the eye may cause those little hemorrhages. And if an ophthalmologist sees it and checks it out, he either finds high blood pressure, which you need to get treated, or it's from sneezing or coughing, doesn't mean anything at all.
Hmm.
It'll go away in a week. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole macular degeneration thing is scary as well. You hear about wet AMD. We see the commercials for it. I have no idea what
Yeah.
that means. I guess there's dry AMD as well. I don't know. Tell us a
Yes.
little bit
No.
about macular degeneration and the symptoms.
Well, macular degeneration affects the center part of vision, the macula, and dry AMD. You see pigment changes coming through the retina. The pigment from the back of the eyes migrating into the retina. Wet AMD is a vascular leakage under the macula, which lets fluid accumulate under the retina and displaces the retina, distorts vision, and the central vision eventually goes away if you don't treat it. The treatments you see on TV all the time, like Eylea, uh, those decrease the vascular formation
Mm.
and decrease the leakage, and therefore make it better and delay the onset of serious macular degeneration. There's also another one they're advertising now, which is geographic atrophy, and that is the same as macular degeneration, except it spreads around and eventually it involves the whole retina,
Mm.
and that causes the total blindness. Now, I used to tell my patients with macular degeneration that they may have a significant amount of macular degeneration, but they can walk through a room of furniture without bumping into anything because their
Mm.
peripheral vision is there.
Yeah.
It's only the central vision that you use for reading and fine detail, like sewing and things like that, that is affected. So you can walk around. You don't have to act blind at all. You don't see fine detail in the center. And if you look at somebody across the table, their face may go away,
Mm.
but the rest of them is still there.
Yeah.
Depends where you look. I used to tell people they can kind of watch TV if they put a big plant next to the TV set and look at the plant instead of the TV set. They see the TV out of the corner of the eye. It's not very clear, but they
Mm.
can follow the story.
Yeah.
So it depends on how you treat it.
Amazing. Amazing. Um, Lazy eye and cross-eyed. I
Yeah.
think you see fewer cases of this nowadays, or maybe it's treated more readily or quickly. I know growing up, we saw kids who had an eye that would go to the side or cross-eyed. It seems
Yeah.
like you see less of that nowadays.
Well, it's recognized now and treatable.
Hmm.
And if you treat it before age 6 or 7, it'll correct itself.
Hmm.
The lazy eye comes from not being represented in the brain. And if it's looking somewhere else, the brain will shut it off. And then when it's shut off, the pathways don't develop into the brain. Now, if you catch it early enough and correct it and patch the good eye, make them use the bad eye, it forces those pathways into the brain and corrects the vision loss. But it
Yeah.
has to be done early. So, uh,
With cross-eyes, is it generally surgery is the remedy?
well, it depends on what causes cross eyes. If you're very farsighted, you have to focus to see up close. When
Hmm.
you focus, your eyes turn in. Now,
Hmm.
if you correct the farsightedness, the eyes go straight. Uh, I have a little girl in uh, the Joy of Medical Practice who was sent to me, and she had crossed eyes. I put glasses on her, straight as could be.
Wow.
The parents had seen another pediatric optometrist who said that she needed glasses, but he didn't have dilating drops and didn't know how much she really needed. So he was going to put glasses on her, put the frames on her for a month so she get used to them, then start putting lenses in every 6 months, increase the power of the lenses. He's going to sell a lot of glasses,
Yeah.
but he's not going to treat the crossed eyes.
Right.
But that one now, congenital esotropia, turned in eyes at birth, is something you have to do surgery on.
Yeah.
And that you move the muscles forward or backwards on the side of the eye and straighten the eye. When you get them both aligned, the brain will take over and do little fine adjustments to get them aligned.
Mm.
And then you usually have to patch the good eye to make the lazy eye get better. And once they're both the same, you can stop the patching and they'll stay straight.
Mm. What's your take on vision correction surgery? Do you think it's safe? Depends. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, when it first came out, I used to ask my patients if they played the lottery. And they're playing the lottery. It's gotten much better.
Mm.
It's been refined. The lasers have been improved. There are different techniques where they do deep laser rather than superficial laser, and the complications are much less. I have a patient in the book again, the interesting patients that had it done and had all the complications. And that was radiokeratotomy, where they make the cuts in the peripheral retina so it will bulge and correct the nearsightedness. And that was very iffy. It was designed in Japan. They made the cuts on the inside, and that caused the cornea to swell. It didn't work very well. Then they started making the cuts from the outside, and that didn't damage the back lining of the cornea, and it worked pretty well.
Mm.
The big thing it did is overcorrected, and the eye can focus out the overcorrection, and you see really well.
Mm.
Problem is that it tended to drift. So after 5 or 6 years, you 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 lost the correction.
Mm.
Now, if you wait long enough, 16 to 20 years old, the cornea is stable and it doesn't drift.
Mm.
But if you get it done younger than age 20 or so, then sometimes it'll drift and you have to have it done again, or you have to go back to your glasses.
Yeah.
So it's something that's pretty successful now.
Mm.
I've seen a lot of people that have had it that liked it very much, uh, but you're still going to need bifocals when you hit 40. And so,
Yeah.
you'll be back to glasses, but by that time, cosmetics don't mean as much to most people. So they
Yeah.
don't mind going back to glasses.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
have to look
Let's
at the
talk a
whole
little.
patient.
What's that?
Have to look at the whole patient.
Exactly. Let's talk about this patient again. What about cataract surgery? I know I'm putting it off because I have a unique situation with my compromised retina and the scleral
Yeah.
buckling. Um, but for other people, if they're seeing cloudiness in their vision, generally it means their
Mhm.
lens is damaged.
Yes, the cataract is the opacity of the lens. And basically, everybody's going to get a cataract that live long enough. They may have to be 100 years old, but they'll eventually get a cataract.
Mm.
The, the infant lens is clear. You put it in a glass of water, you can't see it.
Right.
By the time you're out of high school, the lens is very visible in a glass of water.
Mm.
It's different. It's got a fish flesh to it. So as far as when to have your cataract done, it's when it bothers what you need to do.
Yeah.
If if you like to watch television and you don't do fine detail work, you can put it off and put it off until it really bothers you. If you can't get a driver's license because you have a cataract that cuts your vision down below 20/40,
Mm.
that really affects some people. Some people don't drive very much. They got a spouse that takes them every place. They can wait till later to get it out. Um, my father lost his left eye in a hunting accident when he was 17.
Mm.
So I was worried as he started getting a cataract. He died at 83 before getting a cataract that was severe enough to take it out.
Mm.
But I was worried about operating on the only eye.
Yeah.
I was considered an expert, so people sent me their one-eyed patients to operate. It's one of those things. If you, my father was a doctor. He used to send the liver biopsies from Bloomington, Illinois to Peoria to get them done in case the patient bled out from a hemorrhage of the liver. And so he wasn't blamed for it. The other doctor, the expert from out of town, got the blame for it.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of staging this thing. And actually had a cataract for about 2040 a few years ago.
Mm.
And I had a stroke and I started on aspirin every day.
Mm-hmm.
And now I see about 2025.
Mm.
So there was a lot of stuff in the literature when I retired 20 years ago about whether aspirin would prevent cataracts.
Mm.
The other thing I'm on is cholesterol medicine. There's also a question about whether cholesterol medicine cleared up cataracts. The big thing that we know causes cataracts is DMSO. And some people, especially in the Southwest, go to Indian reservations where they can sell DMSO. They use DMSO to correct lame horses.
Mm.
It's you rub it on the skin, it goes in, and it's a very calming thing. I had a patient that would go down to Mexico. This is when I was in Texas. Go down to Mexico, buy DMSO, and take it for his arthritis. He got a cataract.
Mm.
I told him about DMSO and the cataract, and he quit taking DMSO. I saw him 6 months later. He didn't have a cataract. So
Wow.
it's kind of a reversible cataract. But that's one thing. You don't want to take DMSO. It'll give you cataracts.
Okay. What do you think about AREDS, the AREDS vitamin formula?
Oh, it's been proven to be very effective at slowing down macular degeneration.
Yeah.
It doesn't, if you don't catch it early enough, it doesn't work as well. If you
Mm.
catch it early, it works pretty well. And that was a national study all across the country. And then there's AREDS 2. They discovered some minerals that help.
Mm.
So they added that. So AREDS 2 is a little better than AREDS 1,
Mm.
which most people, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if it's still available off the counter,
Yeah,
but
it is. Yeah, I take it. Yeah. I
well,
take that combined with
AREDS,
my multivitamin.
AREDS 2, well, that goes multivitamins. That's the combination they put in AREDS 2.
Yeah.
And so, it works. It slows the macular degeneration down, but it doesn't necessarily stop it.
Right.
But it's good to take. It slows down the inevitable. The
Yeah.
other thing to do is to stop smoking if you smoke,
Yeah.
because smoking has been definitely been connected with macular degeneration.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Good diet, good lifestyle, movement. Protect those eyes. They are precious. We only have
yeah.
two of them, and you don't realize how precious your vision is until it's compromised. If you found this conversation today fascinating, folks, and I know I did, you should pick up this book because, like me, you could get flashers or eye pain or a hemorrhage in your eye or whatever it might be. And you're going to want to know, hey, what's going on? And you want to hear it from the best in the business. You want to hear it from Dr. Barber. If you found this conversation fascinating, you'll find these books equally fascinating. They are called Hey Doc, What is Wrong with My Eye? Examination of the Eye Made Easy, and The Joy of Medical Practice, 40 Years of Interesting Patients. 3 must-reads for anyone who wants clearer answers, stronger skills, and powerful studies from the world of eye care. Doctor, thank you so much for joining me here today,
Well,
for
thank you.
your time and insight.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate your time and insights, as I mentioned, to the folks at home. I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time.